Moving on, President Donald Trump plans to sign an executive order to shut down the U.S. Education Department, according to a White House official. This move aligns with his campaign promise to eliminate the department. Trump has often called the Department of Education wasteful and dominated by liberal ideology. However, dismantling the department likely requires an act of Congress, as it was created in 1979. A White House fact sheet says that the order will direct Secretary Linda McMahon to take steps towards closing the department. The plan is to return education authority to the states. Trump's administration has already reduced the department's workforce and made cuts to key offices, including the Office for Civil Rights and the Institute of Education Sciences. Public school advocates argue that eliminating the department would harm children in an already unequal education system. This isn't fixing education, it's ensuring millions of children never get a fair shot, said the National Parents Union. They vowed to fight against this move. The department oversees billions of dollars in school funding and manages $1.6 trillion federal student loan portfolio as well. It also plays a key role in civil rights enforcement. Federal funding makes up about 14% of public school budgets, and Republicans have long advocated for closing the education department. The idea has gained traction recently as conservative parents and the groups push for more control over their children's education. Trump has called the department a hotbed of radicals and zealots and Marxists who extend their influence through regulations and guidance. According to media reports, Trump has leveraged the department's investigative powers and the threat of withholding federal funds to target schools that oppose his positions on transgender athletes, pro-Palestinian activism, and diversity programs. Raymond Vickery, former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce, is joining us on the show as well. Mr. Vickery, appreciate you taking out the time and joining us from all the way in Washington, D.C. Well, shutting down the Department of Education, it sounds like a big deal. Is that something which is likely to do more harm to the children in the United States? Since, in the monologue I read, it clearly states that the schooling system in the United States is perhaps unequal.
Well, thanks very much for having me. I think you're exactly right. This is designed to do great harm and is another example, really, of the Trump administration trying to operate outside the law. There is no precedent or authority in the United States president simply to shut down a department which has been authorized and funded by acts of Congress. The executive is not a king and is supposed to take into effect the laws which have been passed by Congress. This is what we've done in the United States for over 200 years, but President Trump and his administration seem to be trying not only to change education in the United States, but to change, in fact, our entire system of democratic governance. If you go back to the history of the Department of Education, it was put in during President Carter's administration to try to fill in particularly gaps in types of coverage which couldn't be afforded by some of the states. We're talking about special education. We're talking about special needs. We're talking about those who have happen to live in areas where there is poverty and there's need for funds also to provide the latest in terms of educational approaches and technology. And so this was designed to lift students around the nation, regardless of race, creed, color, economic status, and to help those who were in special need of help. That is something that the supporters of Donald Trump, many of them, They don't want to see that. What they want to see is a return really to 1950s approach in which in many school systems there were students left behind. There was indoctrination as opposed to education. But it has become an article of faith for these MAGA supporters that this is some sort of left-wing plot to indoctrinate students in the United States. This is very regrettable, but is of a piece of the way in which this administration is proceeding, not just to try to put their views before Congress and the courts, but to really act as an authoritative approach that will lead to a semi-dictatorship here. And so it's very, very distressing.
Mr. Vickery, it seems that Donald Trump is on an overdrive when it comes to his zeal to transform and change things. But a lot of people are also calling him a bull in a china shop. If there is a problem with the Department of Education, you don't go about eliminating that department. You can always pick and choose what to change and what to transform. Do you think this approach is going to spell more trouble, maybe for the students in the years to come, but more for Donald Trump when it comes to his popularity in the United States?
Well, I think there's going to be a reaction. We have, as you know, midterm elections which will come up next year, and I fully expect the House of Representatives will go back to the Democrats. But this is not a cure for the damage which is being done. It's difficult to build up institutions, norms, rules of law, ways in which civilized nations function. It's much easier to tear that down, and once it's torn down, you have to start over again in many instances. The strength of the United States has been education, innovation, right from kindergarten on through universities. And we have strived over a period of years to improve that system. And the Department of Education was a major step in that regard. So yes, if there are needs for reform, there are ways to do that within the law, within the constitutional system of checks and balances, but not, as you say, to be a bull in a china shop and just take a sledgehammer to the institution. It's illegal, it's unconstitutional, and most of all, it's unwise and weakens the United States in trying to provide the best leadership it can in not only our nation, but across the world.
Right. Mr. Vickery, stay with us. In fact, we'll talk